what is the Confederate flag? And I'm specifically saying Confederate here because I feel like here we whitewash it and call it the rebel flag so that it sounds
It's whitewashed.
like it's not what it's meant to be.
Right.
What does it symbolize to you?
I don't feel like it includes me. I honestly, I feel like I'm not in. I don't feel like it includes me. And I've heard people say that it's their Southern heritage, and but
I'm sorry.
you've got groups like the Ku Klux Klan that use that as a symbol of endearment and hatred. You know, so I'm confused. Well, how could? So it's like, are you saying that hatred and endearment, that's Southern heritage, and people talk about the Civil War, but it's like, y'all forget the Civil War. The thing about it is the South lost the war, and that's like I've heard people say in clips and in films, you know, their way of life. That was the way. Yeah, that was the way of life for people that were white, but for slaves, that wasn't. I mean, they didn't want that, you know. But to me, it always was seen as a symbol of endearment, because I think I was sharing with somebody. I said, you know, Georgia used to have that in their state flag.
Mm-hmm.
They had it in their
So
state
does
flag in Mississippi.
Yeah, there's a couple I think that still have it.
Georgia finally took theirs out, but I think Mississippi still has it in their flag. And I think it was in South Carolina at their state capitol. They used to have it at their state capitol, but they finally took it down. But for me, it was always just seen as a symbol of hatred.
So it's interesting too, because I was looking at some history on the flag. Like, that's not even, so each state had their own flag, and that flag was actually rarely even used during the Civil War. So for them to be like, oh, it's my Southern heritage, I'm representing my family who fought in the war, which you're representing your family who fought
For racism, but okay.
racism,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You know, and then people are like, oh, well, no, they were fighting for states' rights. No, you were fighting for the state's right to own slaves.
Yeah.
And
It's still
and the thing about
racism.
it, you have young kids that are like teenagers and in their 20s, they wear it, and it's like, I wonder a lot of times, do y'all even know what y'all wearing?
And I think that's the other thing too, is it's not
It's whitewashed. Like
right, because it's plastered everywhere. It loses what its original meaning, and that's what people are trying to do. Is they're like, oh, well, it doesn't mean that anymore. I understand, to you it doesn't mean that anymore, but it would just be like if you were to take a Nazi flag and hang it. No, I'm sure it doesn't mean anything.
Because Germany, like, they don't have Nazi anything anywhere besides
You go to
the
jail.
museum. Yeah,
You
you
go
go
to
to
jail.
jail. Understandably,
Mhm.
like, why is that not the same in America? Like, why are we so proud of enslaving and raping and abusing people?
And when you have white supremacists waving the Nazi flag next to the Confederate flag, like, to me, those are two. They're now they coincide each other. You know.
Yeah, I've seen people with the Nazi swastika
Yeah.
on their arm.
Yeah.
No.
There's a movie that's kind of rough to watch, American History X, is it what it was called? It had Edward Norton in it. And the character starts out as a white supremacist, and then he ends up in jail, and he realizes that the white supremacists are only white supremacists when it's convenient, you know? And it's an interesting story. It's kind of a brutal movie, but it baffles me why people are like, I'm better than you because I'm white. Well, first off, you're waving a Nazi flag. Guys, Hitler wasn't technically even
White.
what he wanted to be. You were supposed to be white, blonde, blue-eyed. You've seen Hitler? He's a goofy-looking guy. He was not even, like, you know, it just, it baffles me how you can look at the Confederate flag and be like, oh no, it's just my heritage.
Well, that's just like with the people that talk about, you know, the country, and that's like, even in our politics, they talk about sending people back that wasn't born here. But I mean, the original founders were the Indians.
Yeah.
They were the Indians, and like I told them, I said the original founders, people here were the Indians, especially here in Florida, were the Indians.
Yeah.
I said the Indians, they got swindled out their land, and put
killed
on and put on
That's the other thing that I had a conversation, I think, with my wife and my daughter yesterday. We fought Nazi Germany to stop genocide of the Jewish people, but we committed genocide to create this country. And then we took and we were like, oh, that never happened.
and not only that, and not
We
only
gave
that,
them casinos. It's
And-
okay now.
and not only that, and then you come over the seas to the continents, and you take people and you bring them back, and you have them work land that's
yeah,
not
not
theirs.
legitimately yours.
yeah, and destroy it and kill people. Yeah, it's so weird how we'll conveniently hold on to the symbols and try and make them seem okay, but then we're gonna hide the other symbols.
The reasoning why we have those symbols.
Yeah. And I think too that tags into the statues, and because something I learned recently watching I can't think of his name now, but the statues. So people are like, oh, those are hundreds and hundreds of years old. They're not. Do you know when in like 95% of those statues were erected? During segregation, during the fight to vote. 90% of the Southern Confederate statues were erected as a, oh, black people, the black community wants desegregation. Well, let's remind them of where they're living. Boop, 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 statues. Oh, the black community wants the right to vote. Boop, 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 boop. Here's some more like these statues aren't even that old. They're not, like, they weren't built at the end of they weren't even built at the end of the war. Some of these are younger than your grandmother.
What's crazy is I don't even know why that's a valid argument. Like, it's 100 and something degree. Oh,
It's
give
still
a
of a,
shit.
it's
Like-
still for a guy that fought for
exactly.
slavery. Like,
Yeah.
there's no statues of Hitler.
Yeah.
Why would there be statues of these guys?
That
you
was
know?
like, interestingly, I always look at the View every day, and I tape it and look at it. And one of the commentators on there, Sunny Houston, which she's an attorney, she got into detail about George Washington. She said that he was a very cruel slave owner. She said, you know how they always told in school that he had wooden teeth, and I was like, they did. She said no. She said he
They
took
were
the
slaves.
teeth
Yeah, they were-
of his slaves and made dentures. I did not know that. I didn't know that. I was just like in awe.
I just learned that recently.
I didn't
too.
know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned that when I was like 17, and because I actually learned it in college. Is the crazy part about it. And like when my professor first said it, I was like, oh, that's a lie. That's gotta be a lie. How was that? That's a lie. But then I did my own research, and I was like, oh my god.
Like a lot of people, like I tell them to say, like a lot of people, talk about this stuff, but like a lot of people that were in the days of slavery, they were like tortured.
Yeah.
Like far as like men being castrated, it's horrible, and it's like how could you do just like willingly just like take pleasure out of somebody's pain? That's just like with lynching, and like the nooses and all of that. That's just like the FBI, the NASCAR driver that found the one. They quickly opened and shut that. But it's strange. It's like, so why was his garage the only one that had that, but the other ones?
So NASCAR hasn't even closed that. So the FBI closed it.
Yeah, they
on
did.
what they had, but
Yeah, they did.
NASCAR's still investigating
Yeah.
because that was their same question. They were like,
Yeah.
no other door handle is like that. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you even go that route? Like,
That's just like the in Jacksonville about a week ago. They had the dummy that was
dressed as a police officer.
hanging.
yeah.
I didn't like seeing that at all. I didn't because I didn't like seeing it at all. And then several years back on the fire department in Jacksonville, they had an issue with black firemen coming in and finding nooses in there.
I did not hear about
I
that.
didn't either.
That happened
No.
twice over there in Duval County. That happened because you don't see a lot of, and that's another thing. Sometimes in certain jobs that you see people with, you don't always see black people have. Like you don't always, like here, you won't see black firemen, but certain places you go, you might see black firemen. And like I told somebody, I said, you know, when you're a black person, you're doing a job that you don't see most black people doing. You have to, in a degree, you have to deal with something. You have to, you have to deal with something. But yeah, that happened several years back in Duval County.
I had seen the dummy of the cop. I didn't realize it was in Duval County though.
It was off of right there, like you go to turn Alta Drive, like that overpass. It was hanging off that overpass.
Wow.
So like they're 295.
Yeah.
It's like right there.
And I don't think they haven't found out yet who did it.
But you know, like there's some of my white friends that was like, oh well, it was for a cop, so I don't know why black people are scared. I'm like, okay, but listen, just because it's a cop, like that brings more hostility towards black people.
Not only that, for a lot of people that had to live through that, that brings back a lot of painful memories.
Exactly.
That's like it's been some years back. I was talking with somebody that was older. They said, growing up as a kid, it wasn't nothing for them to walk out in the woods, see somebody lynched up from a tree.
Well, it's like we're seeing it now. Like these, there have been. It's 7, I thought.
7?
I know 5. I think it's gone up to 7 now. But they committed suicide.
One of my uncles that live in he lives in Duval County now, but he grew up in a small town. He said when he was a little boy, he remember being uptown with my grandfather and watching the Klan march through the town.
But no, going back to the history part of it, like we were talking about George Washington. So I don't know if you guys watch American Horror Story.
No.
No.
I've watched that.
Have you seen season 3 with the Coven when they talk about Madame? I can't pronounce the last name. She's French, and she would take her slaves and just do cruel, like cruel is an understatement of what she did to these people. Like I can't even describe it because it's disgusting. But
I have a feeling she's probably based off of there's a doctor that didn't believe black women felt pain.
No, so it was a real woman.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God. Oh my God.
See,
okay.
Yeah, it's a real
There's
woman.
a guy and a girl. Oh my God. Okay.
It was a real woman, but she so what's crazy to me is, like, to give you the severity of it, how bad it was, like, to what she was doing to these people, was even other slave owners were like, whoa, like, that's ridiculous, like, that's crazy. She even had to move back to France, I think where she was from, to hide from all these other people, like how bad these people were talking about her. That gives you the severity of what she was doing to these people. Like, you have to watch it.
Yeah, I know there's a doctor who
didn't think black
didn't think women
pain.
yeah, and so he would experiment on them as to not
without anesthesia.
Yeah,
like,
so they didn't have to waste anesthesia.
That's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm happy we've come as far as we have, but so much of that history, especially living in a small town, like, this is stuff I've had to teach myself. I've had to do that. Or, like I said, my buddy Sean likes to share a lot of stuff, and then I learn a lot of stuff from him too, and it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And then to really focus on how young some of this stuff is.
Yeah.